Welcome back, everybody. This is video number 7. And once again, I want to thank you for joining me and checking out this information because it's going to help you out tremendously in the long run of your dream of opening your own food truck. Once again, I'm listing these in numerical order because the goal here is for you to build up the momentum necessary to get to the end goal, which is basically starting from A and getting to Z. But like I said, there's a momentum that you need to build up, a momentum of wins, a domino effect of knocking down the things you need to knock down so you can get to the end goal. And once again, this is video number 7. We're going to start talking about money today. So as I said at the end of video 6, you're probably wondering, if you've checked out all the videos, why are we talking about money so late after so many videos? But there's a reason for that. And once again, the reason is when you go to get the money that you need to have, caveat being if you don't already have it, when you go to get it, the person, the bank, the whoever, they're going to have questions. And if you don't have the things that we've already talked about and we've already learned in place, you're not gonna sway the person that you're pitching to invest in you or to let you borrow. You're not gonna sway them to hand over cash or a check to you because you're not giving enough information. You're not showing that you've taken the time to actually really think about this and really strategically put this in place so it can actually be a real business. So, a lot of people think that, well, I can't do anything if I don't have money, which is not true. You can start to process every single part of what you want to do way before you have money because you can research and figure out everything that you need with no money outside of some internet service. So that's why this video is coming when it's coming. That's why this course or these videos didn't start off with the money, is because you don't get money if you don't have some things put together enough to show that you're worthy enough to have a business. So there's a lot of different things that we have to cover because there's a lot of different options that you have when it comes to money. So to protect these videos being 30, 45 minutes long, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break these up into parts. I don't know how many parts, but I can tell you about today's part, which is part 1. We're going to talk about using personal money and friends and family money and break down the pros and the cons that come along with both of those. And then we'll get into things like investor money, SBA, bank, microloans, all kinds of stuff like that. We'll get into those here soon. But the first thing that a lot of people think about when they're starting something like this is friends and family, personal money. What do you have access to immediately that you don't have to necessarily dig too deep into if you have these resources available to you? And when I say dig too deep into, what I mean is like not having to pitch an institution or an investor or something like that, somebody that you have a personal relationship with that you can go to and have a common conversation because you know each other and you have that relationship to do so. So that's what today's video is about. So we're going to start off first with personal money because it's the easiest and fastest way for you to get going because you don't need any involvement from any outside party. If you are blessed enough that you have, the bank account that you can go get a truck, you can get everything you need, your equipment, your inventory, your everything that if you can get all that done, that's the best position you can be in because there's nothing slowing you down outside of yourself. Or a lot of cases when you're pitching investors or applying here and applying there, those things take time. And in some cases you have underwriters and you have decision makers and, an investor is they don't necessarily, your business is not their business. So they're not going to move hell and high water to get it done fast for you. They're going to get it done on their own time and you have to sit and wait for that. It's just what comes with it. But if you are in a position where, like I said, where you can bankroll your own concept, then you can get going immediately. Now, what you don't want to do is to just have enough to get what you need to get done because you're going to need a reserve to carry yourself after you pay for everything that you need to pay for to get up and going on the road. So what happens is a lot of people make the mistake of using every single dollar that they have and then they have nothing left when they're done, and it becomes a situation where, or they also may have the money that they need to get going and then they quit their job too early. And now every single dollar that comes in from the business needs to pay for your personal overhead, whatever that number is. And it's also got to pay for your business overhead. And unless you're generating a lot of money right off the bat, you're going to be put in a position where it's going to be tight, it's going to be stressful, it's going to be hard. So I would strongly advise you to look at whatever you have and say, is this enough? Add up, calculate everything, do your, project your expenses, project everything to see if you have enough to carry yourself at a minimum of say 6 months of, whatever your cost is. Can you carry yourself if you use your own personal money to pay for this? Or can you carry yourself if you quit your job to pay for everything and then you get out there full time and just go full steam ahead? Can you do that? If not, you need to strategically look at, okay, I can do this. Here's what I can do. Here's what I can't do. How can I supplement that from this over here? And how long do I need to do that before I jump all in? If that's something you want to do. Some people you don't have to jump all in and be full time. Some people, they just do festival seasons. Some people just do weekends. Some people just do catered events. There's no box to this. So, but if you are somebody who wants to go full time and do this solely, you need to look at these things and add them up and project correctly, because it could be a huge detriment to you if you don't. So let's talk about option number 2, which is the closest thing to you outside of personal money, which is friends and family money. Now, this one can be really, really, really tricky, as you can guess, because you may have borrowed money from a family member or a friend before, and some small amount, and you know how these things lead to huge issues possibly. Or if you're a person who gets, who's by your word and you pay back who you're supposed to pay back and you never had any issues, then it's not necessarily an issue. But a lot of people borrow from friends and family members and they don't put the same level of, I need to get this back to this person, as they would to somebody who they don't know. Because you have that personal relationship with the person, and you may know some information about where that person is in their own situation. And a lot of people say, well, they don't need it right now, they're fine there. And then you put it off and you put it off and you put it off, and then it never gets. Well, in this scenario, you're talking about a substantial amount of money that you're borrowing from that friend or family member, and it's something that can lead to great success if you work it out the way it should be worked out, or it could lead to great failure, because you can lose your relationship with that family member or friend if your word isn't what it was when you borrowed it. Now, a lot of times going into these type of arrangements or deals with friends and family members, the instant or the first thing you think about is, can I borrow? Not necessarily looking at that person as an investor in your business. And it's basically it's whatever you two figure out, or however many people you figure out. There are 2 different outcomes to the borrower versus the investor that you have to consider too. As you all know, because everybody's had some sort of loan before, car loan, credit card, personal, everybody's had some sort of loan before. So that in a loan, it's a structured close-in type deal where you have a certain amount of months, you have a certain amount of dollars per month paid back, and then once that's done, it's done. Whereas on the investor side, you give up a percentage of the company and you don't necessarily have to pay that back, but depending on how successful you are, you may end up paying a lot more because of the profits that come out of the company than you would have if you had a close-in type of loan as a traditional loan, a certain amount of months, a certain amount of dollars per month paid. So it's one of those things where it's like, what's the easiest way to get it? What's the best and the easiest way? I mean, like for that person you're talking to, how do they view it? What's the best scenario for them? Because I'm going to tell you a little secret here early, and I'm going to get into this a lot deeper when the investor meeting or the investor video is done. But the main thing that you need to think about when you're getting an investor is not, a lot of people go into it saying, well, if I could just get this started, this is what it's going to do for me, and this is what it's going to do for my family, and this is what it's going to do for my kids, and this is what it's going to do, and blah, blah, blah. And the investor sitting back, oh yeah, that's really nice. I hope you really get that done. I'll, be proud if you can get that done. But that's not selling the investor on why they should give you their money. Investors want to hear what your company is going to do for them and them only. That's what sells investors. But like I said, we'll get into that at a later date and time in the investor video, which will be coming soon. But I just want to throw that out there to you, because if you're pitching the family member on investing, you still have to come around that same type of angle, that same type of thought process of, here's what this will do for you because you're giving me your money to help me get done what I need to get done. So like I said, you have the two scenarios. You can do a traditional borrow loan, or you can do an investment for a percentage of the company back. So think about that, how you want to receive money from somebody, because it's super important how you go about that. So you go into the conversation with the right mind state of, here's how I will prefer it. We can either work this out or not, but here's what I'm thinking. Now, another thing that comes with friends and family is that they've never made this sort of business transaction before. So they don't necessarily, and you may not either, but they may not necessarily understand how to invest and how to calculate, equity back, and, how to evaluate a company to know based on the amount of money I'm giving you, here's the amount of equity I get back in return. They may not know how to do that. You may not know how to do that. There's a calculation to it, but it's just another option where you can say, here's two ways we can do it. Initially, when I got into business, I personally wasn't a big fan of investor money and getting equity back because I was greedy. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was greedy. I wanted to, because of the amount of work I put in, I wanted to get every single dollar back I could and keep that. So I was more looking into, I would rather borrow than get equity. But here's the problem: when you borrow, that's added to that's an additional addition to the overhead you have per month. And like I said, unless you're bringing in a lot of money, you want to keep your bills to a minimum. So adding on $500, $600 a month and just the loan payback just to get everything going, plus your food, plus your everything else that we've already talked about, it can be a lot. But if you structured that deal as equity and you didn't have to necessarily give back a monthly payout immediately, it gets you more time to reinvest back in the business and to grow. So just like I said, that I was a person on the side of, I'd rather take a loan than equity. It was a headache for me to have to pay back that monthly amount every single month, in addition to everything else I had to pay back, because I didn't pay full cash for everything. Like the majority of you won't. I didn't pay full cash for everything right out front, and was able to just go and recoup the whole time. So it turned into a lot of stress. It turned into a lot. So if I could go back and change that, I would go back and go the equity route. When you're in business, you just have to understand that, a lot of times, and a lot of people, you have partners. I mean, just because business is business, and, a lot of the startup money it takes to get in business successfully can be a lot. So you're going to have partners. You need to bring in a person or two or three. You just need to make sure that those people understand what's going on, and they're invested in you, because they know that it's going to take time for you to do what you need to do. So you need to make sure that they're invested in you. Investors invest in people. They don't necessarily invest in businesses as much as you think they do. So if you can iron that out, I would advise you to go the equity route, just because you need to limit the amount of overhead going out so that you can keep money in the business, so you can scale depending on what your actual goals are as a whole. So that's basically the gist of this video. Like I said, this one is going to be pretty clean cut and short, because two things. Number one, if you have enough money to bankroll yourself, that right now, as I'm saying this, as you listen to me, that you may not know projecting out if you have enough, but if you have enough in the bank to pay for what you need to pay for. You also know the relationships that you have and the people who you can call who may or may not have the money. It's just a matter of figuring out, how are we going to structure this? Which route are we going to go? If I can get you to believe in what I'm doing, you just have to figure that part out. So like I said, I give you my story and how I did what I did, and decided what I decided, what I would do different if I could, looking back on it now. But these two things, personal money and friends and family money, are going to be the first two things that come across your mind. And you just need to figure out, is this a route that you want to go? But there are other options. Those other options are coming soon in explanation. So stay tuned. If you guys haven't liked or subscribed, please do. Send this to somebody who you think would definitely need the information, because this is a vital part of the whole operation. So like I said, like, subscribe, and comment if you have any questions. There may be questions that you have, and if I can answer everything I can answer, and there may be somebody else who has their own experiences that can jump in and help you out too. So leave a comment below, like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff, and we will see you on the next one. All right, guys.